FlossTube friends, it's Carolyn of the Curious Crafters. I'm going to be walking through today how I'm going to be framing my autumn bird by Satsuma Street using something called a floating frame. Now, full disclosure, this is the first time I'm doing it, but I thought I would just document my process to see if it works out. I'll share it with everybody else. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. So what have I done so far? I've taken my autumn birds piece and I first blocked it, and I've used this brown stitching along the edge to square up my piece, both with blocking, but then also when I did my preliminary pinning. I'm doing what Nicola Parkman does, and she has a wonderful lacing video that she released a few months ago, so maybe the end of 2022. She first preliminary pins, and then once the piece is stable how you want it, she laces the back. So I'm going to be doing that and then removing the pins. So that's where I am so far on my piece. Let's look at my frame. This is called a floating frame, and it's very often used to frame canvases and paintings. And the way it works is the piece is going to just sit inside the frame. So here's my actual frame. It's very thin. This is just a maple frame that has a clear coating on it. This is called the cradle. And what typically happens is if you have a thick canvas, you don't need a cradle. The canvas just gets attached right to the frame. But you have this when maybe you want to frame a photo or a thin panel, or I'm going to use it for cross stitch. So my cross stitch piece, once it's laced, will be adhered to my cradle. So onto the cradle, and then the cradle gets screwed into the back of the frame. And where I ordered my frame from, I have my screws and my hardware ready to go. Let me talk a little bit about where I got this frame. I ordered this frame from metroframe.com. They have many different choices for your floating frame. It is high-end. It's all made from the wood, but my cost for this frame was about 1/3 of what the framing estimates we were getting at our local frame shop. So that's why we wanted to go with that. So beautiful. I'm really happy with the frame. It came in the mail. It takes, 3 or 4 weeks because they custom make it for you, but it looks great. Now, my first challenge is I could just lace this and glue it onto my cradle, but I don't know. I'm really hesitant about gluing my linen. I'd like to come up with a different solution if I can. So I'm thinking about using magnets. What I'm going to do is put something metal onto my cradle, magnets on my foam core. I will lace over my magnets, and then it should clip into place. That's the theory. Let me show you some of the options I have. As far as metal, I have this sheet. It's called flexible steel sheet. And then I also have a roll of metal tape. So these are two things I'm going to try. As for the magnets, I have magnetic adhesive sheet that I can cut to different sizes, and then also a magnetic tape. I want to keep it as thin as possible because I don't want my cross stitch piece to be protruding out from the frame too much. All right, so that's my challenge. I'm going to go experiment now a little bit with my different magnetic and metal materials, and I'll come back and check in with you once I have something that I think is working. I've done some experimenting now with my metal and my magnets. So I just used 2 pieces of cardboard. For the metal, this white is a metal tape, and up here it was just a sheet that's called a steel sheet, and all of them are adhesive. For my tape, for my magnet, my short piece was magnetic tape, and my longer piece here was from these sheets that you can cut. What I found was this sheet was not strong enough. I think it's really just designed for paper, to put like paper on your refrigerator. So that's out. So for my magnet, I'm going to be going with the magnetic tape. Both of these worked equally well for my metal. So I think just for width and for streamline, I'm going to go with cutting strips from this steel sheet. Now, once I've finalized all my resources, I'll put them in the description box, and or I'm going to write a blog post about this too, as far as my materials. So my next step now is I'm going to put the metal sheet onto my cradle and the magnetic tape onto my foam core, and then I'm going to see if through the linen it's still going to adhere. All right, let me go do that and we'll check back and see how it goes. All right, here are the results. I have my magnetic tape around the foam core of my piece and my metal sheet onto my cradle. Now this adheres great, really good seal with the magnet. Unfortunately, what happened, let me undo it, get it out. Once I folded my linen over, then it would no longer adhere. Just adding that extra buffer between the magnetic tape and the metal tape, it wasn't strong enough. Okay, so here's my plan B. I'm gonna go ahead and use the magnets to attach the piece to the cradle. I am gonna go ahead and push all these pins in, and then I'm gonna I have enough fabric, I'm just gonna lace the fabric to the back of the cradle. So the fabric will be laced over the cradle and these pins will be in. You know, I wonder actually in hindsight, I maybe could have used some archival tape here. I don't have any, so I am gonna try to lace it, and I think I have just enough fabric to lace it over there. Okay, plan B. Let me give it a go, and then I'll come back. What I've gone ahead and done now is I've used the magnetic strips with the metal tape to put my piece on the cradle, and I've gone ahead and laced it normally. Now I didn't have to lace really too tightly. It's because it's my pins are holding down and stretching my canvas, and this is really just holding it in place. I'm really trying to get my cradle was a little bit smaller than my foam core, so I was working really hard to try to get my corners smooth, and I sewed it down kind of like a present. You can see my corners are still not exactly a right angle, particularly that one, but I think considering where I am, that's about the best I can do, and I'm happy with that. So now the last piece is this cradle. I take my frame and it's just going to rest inside. Now the key is going to be, I have about an 1/8 to a 1/16 inch, and I want to make sure that is consistent. I think your eye is really going to see that negative space. So I'm going to actually run to the hardware store and get tiling spacers. And I think I'll measure this. It's either going to be an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch. So I can put those spacers in to make sure it's exactly where I want to go. Because then when I come to the back, do you see those 4 holes? I'll be screwing into those, and they will screw through the frame and into the cradle. So I really want to make sure this is positioned properly before I start screwing that in. Off to Ace Hardware, and let me go see what kind of spacers I can get. But overall, I'm really happy with how that looks, and it's exactly the look I was going for. All right, so I had to go walk the dog, and while I was walking, I'm like, you don't need to go get spacers, like use what you have. So what I ended up doing was taking mat board that I had, and this is 1/16 of an inch, and I should have about an 1/8 of an inch around each one. So I just cut some strips of the mat board and doubled it and did some lips, and that should hopefully give me an even edge around it. And then I turned it over and started to put my screws in. So I've screwed them in far enough now that it should hold. So let's see if I take my spacers out. This should still hold. Let's see if I can get these out. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's a little, maybe looks to my eye a little higher on this, so I may just unscrew it a bit and see if I can tweak it a little bit. But that's gonna be how it holds it in. Okay, so let me go see if I can tweak that just a bit. All right, FlossTube friends, that's a wrap. I have my first framed piece framed in my floating frame. Thanks for coming on this journey with me and being curious with me. I've learned so much through this process, and I know there are already several things I'm going to do differently the next time I framed it. But as you know, with any craft, you can't learn it until you just do it. So I'll keep you posted with how I go with my next one. But overall, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Guess what? If I can do it, you can do it too. See you soon.